Jan Mayo got a call from the sheriff's office and heard the news that she never expected in her life that she would hear, that 4 of the people who were found among those bodies were actually her own flesh and blood, her family members, her daughter and her 3 grandchildren. Among the others, the youngest grandchild had 2 dear friends that she'd asked over for a slumber party, and they were headed to their stepdad's ranch. That stepdad was convicted of first-degree rape in 2003, served 2 decades in prison, during which he committed another crime involving a young girl, and was supposed to appear in court the day that the 2 young friends were found dead among those other 7. That's the man in question, Jesse McFadden, 39 years old, convicted sex offender. His wife, one of the dead. His 3 stepchildren, that would be his wife's 3 children, 3 of the dead. And those 2 kids who were there for the slumber party, friends of the youngest stepchild. They were among the bodies as well. We're learning more details tonight, at least details about how 2 of those victims were killed. As the police were searching for Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer, the 2 teenagers who were just supposed to be on a slumber party, family members have told us that Brittany Brewer was shot in the head. Family members have also told us that the oldest of the children of that sex offender's wife, Rylee Allen, just 17, that she was also shot to death. Brittany's mom, Melania Chabelle, told us that her sons informed her, and I will quote her, that the police found all the bodies scattered around in different places. So that means she was trying to run away and get away from him. He shot her 1 time in the head, and that is what killed her. Again, that is the mother of one of those teenagers that had just gone over for the slumber party, Melania Chabelle, telling us that exclusively tonight. The court record saying that the court case, the trial that was supposed to start yesterday, that's when Jesse McFadden was supposed to show up and answer to soliciting sexual conduct with a minor and possession of child pornography. All of those crimes committed while in prison on a contraband cell phone in 2017. Well, it didn't happen. That trial didn't happen because he took his own life as well as the other 6 people he murdered. The question is, why was he out? He had a 20-year sentence, but he got out 3 years early. We called the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board, and we got this statement. Jesse McFadden was released in November of 2020 because he discharged his sentence, not due to any action by the Oklahoma Pardon and Parole Board. But it still doesn't make any sense to us. He had a 20-year sentence. He got out 3 years early, all the while charged with the same kinds of crimes he was in there in the first place for. So why did it take 6 years to prosecute him for crimes that were committed while he was actually behind bars? Why couldn't they prosecute him, say, within those 3 years before he was let out? These are hard questions that are going to have to be answered. And the harder questions are how this crime scene played out, how these innocent people lost their lives. Joining me now live in this exclusive interview is Jan Mayo. Jan is the mother of Rylee Guess. Holly was murdered as well as her 3 children. She was his wife. That means that Jan Mayo has lost her daughter and her 3 grandchildren. And Jan is with us from Westville, Oklahoma tonight. We're also joined exclusively by Holly's aunt, Lynn Wyatt. Ladies, thank you for being here. And I know that you want to get your story out. You wanted to speak to us about what's happened. Let me just ask you this. Jan, have you learned anything else, anything new from the sheriffs, from the police, from the authorities who are investigating this?
The only thing that I've heard so far is that my granddaughter, Rylee Elizabeth Allen, was shot in the head and died that way, and that my grandson, Michael Mayo, was undetermined cause of death. The other 2, they haven't determined yet. They haven't done their autopsies.
So your daughter, Holly, and her youngest, Tiffany, 13 years old. They haven't finalized the autopsies on those two, so they haven't been able to give you a cause of death?
Oh, not yet.
Did the sheriffs or did any of the authorities tell you what they think happened just from being able to assess the scene?
No, I can't get any information. They're not releasing any information to me at all.
What did the authorities tell you when you got that just horrendous phone call?
All they told me at first was that Jesse was missing and the two girls that he supposedly kidnapped were missing. Nothing about my daughter or my grandchildren. I had to find that out from Facebook that they'd found 7 bodies. And nobody told me anything until 10 o'clock that evening that my granddaughters, my grandson, and my daughter were dead.
So to be clear, the police, did they, at 10 o'clock, did the authorities eventually call you to give you this news officially?
Yes, at 10 o'clock. And that's when they told me that my family was being transported to the Tulsa Medical Examiner's office.
Was there any other detail that they were able to give you during that phone call?
The only thing that they told me at that time was that they had been shot and nothing more.
Did they say that all of them had been shot? Because originally we had heard that just Rylee had been shot, but did they say that all of the family members had been shot?
That's what I was told, that they had all been shot and that he took his own life.
Was there any indication at any time, Jan, that this man was so incredibly dangerous and to the point of being lethal?
No, there was nothing. I saw them Thursday at my granddaughter's choir concert, and everybody was happy. They were just smiling. They were in a good mood. Tiffy had gotten up and sang with her choir. She was getting ready to do cheerleader tryouts on Friday. They were just happy.
And did Holly know anything about his criminal background, his time served, and the charges of criminal rape that he had served that time for?
Yes. The only thing was he had lied to her and told her that the girl was 19 years old, not 16, and that everything was just a misunderstanding. He paid a young lady to portray the victim to sit down and have a talk with my daughter. And she told him, oh, it was just a misunderstanding. You don't get 20 years for a misunderstanding.
He paid a person to impersonate the victim of his crime to tell your daughter a lie, that it was her and that it wasn't a crime?
Yeah, it's exactly what he did.
And he never indicated at any time that he was a registered sex offender at that property where your family was killed?
No, my husband and I didn't find out until middle to late March, when my husband was looking up a coworker that he worked with to find out what his charges were, and Jesse McFadden's criminal history popped up, that he was a registered sex offender. My husband then contacted our daughter to find out what was going on. Why were they there? Why was he in that house with our grandchildren?
And what date was that?
That was in March, probably about the 20th.
And what answers were you given when you confronted him with the fact that he was a registered sex offender?
Our daughter wouldn't let us confront him. She said, oh, it was just a misunderstanding. I've talked to the girl. At that time, we didn't know anything about the real victim.
It's an unbelievable story, Jan. I cannot believe that this has happened to you and to your family. Lynn, is there more that you can add? I know that you may be speaking to other people. You are the sister of Holly's father. So you're
Yes.
the kid's aunt. Tell
Yes,
me
ma'am.
what you've been able to glean from any of the people who have at least informed you of this tragedy.
Well, the lady he paid to pretend to be the victim contacted me and was telling me that she was sorry, that she was paid to do so, and she contacted me. So that's how we learned that Holly never spoke to the real victim.
When did that happen?
Today, it was yesterday. I got contacted yesterday.
So the impersonator has now reached out to you, realizing just how dangerous her actions now have turned out to be.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Have you informed the police about this person?
No, I haven't spoke to the police. I actually contacted the police because I didn't understand why the Amber Alert didn't have my niece and my great nieces and nephew. And I also contacted them in Henrietta to ask if, when we learned of Jesse, on a registered list, if the girls could be there. Were they aware that children were living in that home? So I personally called the sheriff's department. And I was told by the sheriff's department they were not aware of the situation, and at that time did not know that there was a registered sex offender at that address, and would contact me again. And I never got contacted back. Never.
It's such a remarkable sequence of events. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we saw a marriage license for just last year. Is that right, Lynn? That Holly just married Jesse last year.
And in fact, we thought they got married on Christmas Eve. There was actually a wedding cake at the Christmas party. We didn't know the marriage took place in May until last night.
And how long had they known each other before they got married?
Jan, I'm not sure about that. Do you know? Everyone keeps asking, and I'm not sure.
Not sure when she met him. I just know that they moved in together in, I think it was just after Christmas in 2021.
So he was released from prison in 2020, and within a year he was moving in with your daughter.
Yeah.
Did the kids, Jan, ever say anything about him? Did anyone ever mention anything out of the ordinary, that he behaved in a certain way, that he was uncomfortable, that he was sexual in nature, or that he was violent in any way? Did they ever say anything?
The kids weren't allowed to see us. Jesse controlled everything. We weren't allowed to see him. They moved the children and my daughter 2.5 hours away, and we weren't allowed to have contact with them other than when they were around Holly and Jesse both. So we didn't understand what was going on, why we weren't allowed to see the kids. My husband and I raised those children. They lived with us more than they did Holly.
So the only contact you had with these kids was just on the telephone?
Not even that.
On the telephone occasionally, and at events at the school. We were allowed to go to track meets. The kids weren't allowed to come stay the night with us. And if they did, Jesse would track their every movement. He would use their cell phones to track them.
And Lynn, what were you just about to add?
Holly was extremely close to my brother. I don't know that I've ever seen a father-daughter bond. And anytime, like, I was probably the most outspoken family member about Jesse being a registered sex offender. And I would say, do this, Jan, say this. And anytime we tried to approach the situation, she was punished. She was shut down. She was constantly on eggshells. She wouldn't be able to talk to her children. So she had to keep a balance. She had to accept things if she wanted to keep an eye on the grandkids and talk to her daughter. It was just an everyday call from Jan, just so stressed. My brother actually relocated to Henrietta to be close when Holly moved. He got an apartment and moved to Henrietta so that he could attend the school events and be there for his grandkids. And he was living in that town and still was not allowed to see the kids.
So it sounded as though Jesse McFadden had an extremely controlling relationship over Holly and all three kids, and became increasingly unwilling to accept the fact that there might be something wrong with this man, and that he might actually be something other than this actress and this liar who had been hired by her husband, that person had told her.
And absolutely. And anytime we questioned anything or asked anything, Jan and Michael were punished. That meant they didn't get to talk to the children or see the children. They were cut out. So we just had to be quiet.
I am just so incredibly sorry for what both of you are going through and what you have been going through throughout this whole ordeal. And we will stay in close contact with you as additional details, become available. But our hearts, our thoughts, everything. I mean, there's nothing I can say to make this better, but please know that we are deeply, deeply in sympathy and in solidarity with you tonight, both of you. Thank you for speaking out.
Yeah. And I'd like to say thank you to Melissa, your producers, your staff. They're amazing. They have helped us navigate this situation. They have just been a godsend, and we want to thank you so much. All of my family wants to thank your staff, and just the support and love they've shown us has been amazing. And we just want to say
we'll do one more for you. We'll add the fact that I believe you're starting a GoFundMe to try to pay for the funerals of Holly and the kids, right? I mean, this is going to be a monumental. I mean, Holly Guess and Rylee Allen and Michael Mayo and Tiffany Guess. I mean, these kids were 17, 15, and 13. Holly was their mom. She didn't deserve this. These children didn't deserve this. Their best friends, Ivy Webster and Brittany Brewer, didn't deserve this. So I'm just showing our viewers that there is this GoFundMe that is now up and running to help pay for these funerals. Both of you, Jan Mayo, Lynn Wyatt, thank you and God bless. I'm sending you every prayer I possibly can.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for watching. Please go to newsnationnow.com, newsnationnow.com, and you can find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button down below. Then you will get more of NewsNation's fact-driven coverage.